Welcome to Messy Church at the Well.
It's now been over 6 months since we met together in our building.
We hope and pray that you are keeping safe and well.
Over the last few months we've posted up videos on Facebook with challenges and activities and stories, and we hope you've enjoyed them.
Now remember that Messy Church is for the whole family, so everyone can have fun together and join in with today's story and activities.
Today we're going to hear a story about a young boy, probably between the age of 12 and 15, who did something amazing with God's help.
So without further delay,
here's the story.
We're now going to tell you the story of David and Goliath. Now there are some actions to this story, so you need to follow Rick. Okay, are we ready to listen? There was once a boy called David. He looked after the sheep and was the smallest member of the family. Now, David loved God, and he believed that God was the greatest. One day, his father sent David on a long journey with food for his brothers, who were fighting in King Saul's army. As he came near, he saw in the distance a giant of a man. His name was Goliath. Goliath was laughing. Who will come and fight me? He roared in a loud voice. But all of King Saul's soldiers were hiding in their tents. Shortly after this, when David had given his brothers the food, he went to see King Saul and offered to fight Goliath. You're only a boy, said King Saul. But David said, God will help me. So David took 5 stones from the stream and went out to fight Goliath. Goliath laughed when he saw David, but David shouted, You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty. Then David put a stone in his sling and spun it round and round and round. It flew through the air and struck Goliath on the forehead and killed him. He fell to the ground with a loud thud. God had helped David to defeat Goliath. Hooray!
What an amazing story.
Yeah, I can understand all the soldiers being afraid of that giant though, can you?
Yeah, but David wasn't afraid because he knew that God was faithful, and he had experience of God helping him every day when he was looking after his sheep.
Yeah. I'm still amazed though that David wasn't scared of the giant, but then he did know what God could do.
He did. Now that leads us very nicely into a song.
Yes. So this song is a bit like a clapping game that you might do in the playground at school with your friends, and you need a partner for this. Now my partner is going to be my teddy bear, because unfortunately Rick can't clap and play the keyboard at the same time. He is multi-talented, but that's a little bit too far for him.
Can't do it.
So you need a partner, so you don't need to use a teddy bear, you can use somebody at home, can be your partner. And this is how it goes. Let me just explain it before we try singing it, because it gets faster and faster and faster. So it goes, God can do anything at all. So you have to back your hands first. God can do anything, anything at all. Nothing is too big for him and nothing is too small. God can do anything, anything at all. And the next bit is, don't put him in a box, don't shove him in the corner, don't you limit what he can do. Don't put him in a box, don't shove him in the corner, don't you limit what he can do. Okay, excellent. Shall we try it? That's all there is to it, but it gets faster. Not too fast, please. Okay. Are you ready, Teddy?
Yep.
Ready.
Calling me Teddy. God can do anything, anything at all. God can do anything, anything at all. Nothing is too big for him and nothing is too small. God can do anything, anything at all. Don't put him in a box, don't shove him in a corner, don't you limit what he can do. Don't put him in a box, don't shove him in a corner, don't you limit what he can do.
A bit faster now.
God can do anything, anything at all. God can do anything, anything at all. Nothing is too big for him and nothing is too small. God can do anything, anything at all. Don't put him in a box, don't shove him in a corner, don't you limit what he can do. Don't put him in a box, don't shove him in a corner, don't you limit what he can do. God can do anything, anything at all. God can do anything, anything at all. Nothing is too big for him and nothing is too small. God can do anything, anything at all. Don't put him in a box and shove him in a corner, don't you limit what he can do. Don't put him in a box and shove him in a corner, don't you limit what he can do. God can do anything, anything at all. God can do anything, anything at all. Nothing is too big for him and nothing is too small. God can do anything, anything at all. Don't put him in a box and shove him in a corner, don't you limit what he can do. Don't put him in a box and shove him in a corner, don't you limit what he can do for you.
Well done for keeping up. Well done, Teddy. Oh, this poor Teddy. He's ready for a lie down now, aren't they? Well done, everybody. Okay, well, at Messy Church we often have some sort of an activity for you to join in with as a family, and today our activity, one of our activities, is a Goliath target. Now, to do this Goliath target, all you'll need is either an area outside in your garden, maybe on paving stones, where you can chalk a Goliath's face, or if you haven't got that space, maybe you could use a piece of rolled paper. You might have a piece of old wallpaper and you could draw on that, and then what you have to do when you've drawn your outline of Goliath's face, you then have to draw some feet quite a distance away and then collect 5 little stones from your garden, or if you don't have any stones you could possibly use pieces of Lego or counters or anything like that. You just need 5. And then the idea is that you stand a distance away from Goliath's head and you try to aim your little stones at the target. And between you and your family, see how many you can get actually on Goliath's forehead. Okay, so that is your challenge. And I think Rick is actually setting one up right now outside in our garden. So shall we go outside and have a look and see how he's getting on? So Rick, how did you get on outside with Goliath?
Well, not very well really. I managed to get, I think I got a 1 on his face, but I didn't hit the target and definitely didn't hit his forehead like David.
Oh dear, how did you get on at home? You'll have to keep practicing. I'm sure it gets easier as time goes on. Maybe you need to stand a little bit closer to start with. You think that's cheating?
I think that's cheating.
Oh, and you would never do that, would you, Rick? No. So Rick, what was all this about? Why do you think we've been doing about this?
Well, do you know, I've found out how difficult it is just to throw a stone at a target. I don't know how David managed to hit Goliath on the forehead with a stone. It just shows you that God was fighting for David, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
And do you think it reminds us that, you know, we need God to fight our battles for us, don't we?
We do.
We can't fight our battles on our own.
A lot of the struggles that we have, we can't do it on our own. We need God to give us strength.
To give us that strength, don't we?
We do.
To hit the target for us. Yeah.
Great. I think we're going to do another activity now, which Jill's going to do.
Okay.
So very shortly, we're going to flip over to Jill, and she's going to do an activity.
Okay. Well, hello, and welcome to my messy kitchen at Messy Church. No, we're not going to do any cooking today, but what we are going to do, we're going to do an activity involving a glass. Now, for this, you need to use the sink because we're going to fill it like this, not quite to the top, half to 3/4 full, or 2/3 full actually, about there, with water. And then what we need, we're going to use a piece of cardboard. So I just got this from a tissue box, but any piece of cardboard would do. And what you need to do is we need to put a piece of cardboard on the top of a tumbler of water like that. Now this is the tricky bit, because we're going to turn it over the sink. Now, what do you think will happen when I take this away? It's held! Whee! Amazing!
Wow, that was amazing, Jill.
Wow, so what makes that do that, Rick?
Well, that was air pressure.
Air pressure.
Was holding it all in.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Do you know what that reminds me of?
What does it remind you of, Rick?
Well, you can't see the air pressure, can you?
No.
You can't.
No.
No. And you know, we can't often see that God's at work supporting us and He's with us all the time. We can't see it. You know, in the same way you couldn't see the air pressure, holding that all together, we can't often see that God is at work in our lives, supporting us and looking out for us.
Wow, that's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah,
fantastic.
Right, we're going to make a slingshot.
Ooh.
Yeah, slingshot. Just like
Sounds a bit dangerous
the one that David used. Well, similar to what David used when he defeated Goliath. Now then, firstly, what you need is a piece of material. Like this. It can be leather, it can be a piece of cloth. I've used some denim from an old pair of jeans. And I've cut.
David wore jeans?
Don't think David wore jeans. And we can't use these anymore because I've got a hole in them.
No.
You need to cut a piece of material, and it needs to be about 7.5 centimetres by 3.5 centimetres. Then when you cut that material, you need to put a hole in each corner.
How do you do that, Rick?
And what I did is I actually used a hole punch.
Ah.
You can use something like that or similar. It was quite difficult, so you might need some help from an adult. In fact, you might need some adult supervision when you're using this even.
Yes, definitely.
So you've got your material with your 4 holes, excellent. Then what we need some string. You can use string, or you could use shoelaces, something like that.
Shoelaces would probably work just as well, wouldn't they?
And
long ones.
Yes, long ones. You need to cut 2 pieces of string at 75 centimetres long. Good. Then what you do, when you've cut your string, you take 1 piece of string and you
fold your
material in half, like so. Put your string through the hole and tie a knot to hold that material together, and then repeat with the other piece of string on the other end. Wow. So what you'll have is that?
Like a little pocket, isn't it?
It's a little pocket.
Ah.
See that?
Yes.
That's where your missile is going to go.
Oh.
In there, right? Then with one of the pieces of string, you need to tie a loop on the end, like so.
You have to be good at tying knots to do this.
Make a loop and tie a knot, and that loop needs to be big enough to go over the middle finger. Your middle finger, like so. Then what we do is we get hold of both pieces of string, like so, and we hold the one without the loop, we hold it between our thumb
A little bit so we can
and
see
forefinger. And what we're trying to do now is we want to level up the sling. There we go, level it up. And when it's level, what you do is you tie a knot just where the string goes through your thumb and forefinger. You can see I've got 2 knots, and that's because I put the first one in the wrong place. And that now is your sling and your missile.
Oh yes, how do we make
Your missile. Your missile. We're using balls of foil.
Yeah, nothing too hard.
Nothing hard because it
You're
might
going to be
hurt.
throwing these.
So we've got some kitchen foil.
So you just want a little bit about this side.
Bit of
really.
kitchen foil.
Yeah.
About that kind of size. Screw it up. And there is your missile. Isn't there?
Excellent.
And now I'm going to demonstrate how to use it. This will be fun.
Like it. Looking forward to this one. Mind out.
Right, you've made your slingshot. Now you need to learn how to use it. It's really quite straightforward. Having said that, to actually be able to aim the missile, takes a little bit of practice. So firstly, put the piece of string with the loop on through over your middle finger, like so. Then the other piece of string with the knot, hold that between your thumb and forefinger, like so, and then the missile goes in the pocket here, like so. Now, the technique is to swing it very quickly, and then when the sling comes back to about this level, let go of the string between your thumb and forefinger, and the missile will fire out. That's the theory anyway. Let's have a go. Here we go. That wasn't bad. Try it again. It takes a bit of practice, but it's worth it. Don't put anything heavy in it because you'll start damaging things around the house. Enjoy, have fun. David must have been really skilled with the slingshot because I had a go and it was really difficult
It wasn't easy, was it?
to hit anything.
Not easy at all.
So he must have really practiced.
He must have done.
Wow. So he was skilled.
As a shepherd boy, I suppose he would have done that, wouldn't he?
But even so, to hit a giant 9 foot tall coming towards you
Quite amazing.
and you're little, to hit the forehead with a stone.
Not easy at all.
That's a miracle, I reckon. That's a miracle.
Yeah.
It is.
Amazing. Well, I think next week we're going to have a song, aren't
Yes,
we?
we're going to have a song.
And then after the song,
Yep.
you're going to hear the story in a slightly different way. Look out for that.
Have we made our God too small, too small? Have we made our God too small? He made the heavens and earth and he reigns on high, and he's got the time for you and I. See the glory of God right up the sky, as the clouds proclaim he reigns on high. See the huge expanse of the oceans wide, and the billion stars that grace the sky. I am all by the power, all by the voice of God all around me. Yeah, I'm humble all. Have we made our God too small? He made the heavens and earth and he reigns on high, and he's got the time for you and I.
I'm going to read a story from the Rhyming Bible by Bob Hartman. I don't know whether you might have this book. If not, it's a very, very good one. I'd recommend it. And it's got lots of really good stories in it. But today we're going to hear the story called When My Fears Are Giant-Sized. Now there's going to be a few actions for you to join in, so be ready. David took his brothers a lunch of cheese and bread. Soldiers on a battlefield, they needed to be fed. That's when he spied a giant foot, a leg and arm and head, and heard the giant's challenge, and bravely stood and said, God helped me beat a lion. God helped me beat a bear. So when my fears are giant-sized, I trust that God is there. You cannot fight that giant, his frightened brothers cried. He'll squash you like an insect. He's more than twice your size. You're just a little shepherd boy. You should be terrified. But David knew that God would help. That's why he replied, God helped me beat a lion. God helped me beat a bear. So when my fears are giant-sized, I trust that God is there. So David went and told the king, I'll take that giant's dare. Then have my armour, said the king. It's standing over there. When David tried it on, he found it much too hard to wear. A sling and stones is all I need, he said. Well, and a prayer. God helped me beat a lion. God helped me beat a bear. So when my fears are giant-sized, I trust that God is there. The giant looked at David. He growled and cursed and roared. You send this stick-sized boy against my spear and shield and sword? I'll beat him without trying, then feed him to the birds. But David reached inside the pouch where his 5 stones were stored. God helped me beat a lion. God helped me beat a bear. So when my fears are giant-sized, I trust that God is there. The giant rushed towards him, his face an angry red. David swung his sling and aimed straight for the giant's head. That small stone struck its target. The giant fell down dead, and all his brothers clapped and cheered, and David simply said, God helped me beat a lion. God helped me beat a bear. So when my fears are giant-sized, I trust that God is there.
So what we've been saying is David was fearless, wasn't he? Why was he so fearless? Well, I think it's because he knew that his God was bigger, that God is bigger than all the problems he had. And right now, right then, his problem was this big giant. And he knew that God was bigger and stronger than that giant. And he knew that because God had helped him in the past, and he knew that God was faithful.
That's right. What sort of things can be our giants now, do you think, really?
Well, I don't often meet people that are 9 foot tall, no, with a big sword. No, I don't.
No.
But there are a lot of things out there. Life can be very difficult and we can struggle, can't we?
Yeah.
Maybe
sometimes we might struggle getting on with brothers and sisters, maybe.
Yeah, we might
That's
struggle.
a giant sometimes
I
in
think
our lives.
sometimes getting on with the brothers and sisters, or sometimes we fall out with friends,
We do.
or maybe we don't like school, and that becomes a bit of a thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe
we
mum,
find something difficult at school. Maybe that might be one of our giants that we're struggling.
or maybe mums and dads kind of struggle thinking, oh, we haven't got enough money, and that can be a big problem, and you can get worried and anxious about all these things, can't you? And it becomes like a big,
a massive
giant,
like a big mountain almost. Yeah.
But what we know, and what David knew, was that God is bigger than all of that. And what seems big to you is nothing to God. And
That's right.
and really, and I'm not saying that these things aren't difficult and that it doesn't matter, because they do.
No.
And that's the point, that God cares for us.
Yeah, we can trust Him, can't we, through those times?
And we can call on Him.
Yes.
You know, often we think we have to cope on our own, and but actually, what we do is we can cry out for help to God, and ask Him to come to our aid.
Yes.
Come and help me, God. It's a great prayer, isn't it? Help.
Absolutely. And
Great prayer.
nothing's too big for Him, nothing's too small, is it? You know?
Yeah.
There's nothing too difficult for God.
So the question really is, what are you afraid of? So what is your giant today? And why don't you tell God all about it? And why don't you ask Him to come to your help and come to your aid?
Yes.
And He will meet you and help you. He will.
That sounds great, Rick.
That's right.
Let's do that.
Thank you for joining us on Mercy Church.
Hope you've enjoyed it.
And hopefully we'll do another one in October.
Yes. Look out for us.
Yeah.
We'll see you all again soon.
See you again.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.